How is it going? My opinions. I'm not sure how I want to do this whole series thing, but we're just going to do chapter one, season one. Well, just season one, episode one. Why Kamala lost the election? Decided to wait a little bit after the election to post this because people were going way too crazy after that because it was a very high stakes election, and what happened happened. Can't get mad about it. I know some people are happy about it. A lot of people that aren't happy about who won the election, well, he's only going to be in there for 4 more years, and then they can vote someone else in. So yeah, there is that. But the main thing that I want to talk about is why Kamala lost. And to keep it short and sweet, and this is all what led up to election day, not what happened recently with Biden pardoning his son for everything. That's a whole nother episode video. But basically, what Kamala did is that, and this is also like what the Republicans did back in 2022. But before the Dobbs decision with the whole Roe v. Wade and women's right to abortion thing happened, Democrats did not have no leg to stand on in the election. Like it was just going to be a complete lie. We probably like if the Republican majority Supreme Court did not touch Roe v. Wade back in 2022, we would have seen states turn red that haven't been red since the 50s. But they decided to mess with it. And that's the one thing that the Democrats had to run their entire campaign off of. And that will also lead us to what eventually would lead up to Kamala's campaign, and that what would eventually lead to her campaign failing. But basically, what happened with Kamala's campaign is that she ran her entire campaign just off of this one issue with abortion. Now, I heard that she also did some other things, like she wanted to do a small business. She she wanted to increase the tax credit to that to like 50,000 or something. It was gonna be a lot higher than what it is now, and a couple other things. But like that's like the biggest thing. Like if you ask somebody what Kamala ran her campaign off of, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, abortion access." And while to me that is a very important thing for women to do, considering that the main thing that women do on this planet is have kids. So of course, in case something goes wrong, they need to have a way to deal with that. It doesn't involve them bleeding out at a dang hospital or dying of dang sepsis because they can't afford or they can't make it to a state that allows that care that's several hundred or in some women's cases several thousand miles away. So to me, even though what Trump did by making it a states' right issue and keeping it from being a federal issue, um, he's still what is it? What, what am I trying to say? Um, well, like, I don't know what to say. Anyway, he made things worse, making it a federal issue, and that opens up the door for other major Supreme Court cases. That could be states' right issue, and that could lead to some really bad problems. But basically, to me, the whole thing with abortion shouldn't be led up to state, federal, or local governments. That should be a decision between the woman that is currently pregnant, the dude that got her pregnant, and the OBGYN, doctors, official, all the people that are involved in the creation and of the kid that they want to get rid of. Guys in suits shouldn't have that control over what a woman does. And yeah, at least that's just my opinion on it. But basically, what Kamala did, and because like a good like half the population lives in states with these strict abortion bans, is that she was trying to run that off her campaign with a promise that if she was going to get back into office, she would be able to reinstate those um, protections and get rid of the bans. But the problem with that is that she could only she had the leverage. In fact, she at the time of posting this video, she still has a whole month and then some like she still has 40 days to convince Biden to do something. But the thing is that it was overturned by a heavily right-leaning Supreme Court, and she would need the Supreme Court in order to get a majority in order for the Supreme Court to make it back into a to it to be federally protected, and then that will overrule the state's bans. But granted, how things are now, yeah, that was not going to happen, and especially with the Republicans having. In fact, the Republicans are kind of stacked at the moment. They have the House, the Senate, the presidency, and the Supreme Court, so they have like nothing stopping them uh, from passing whatever they want to or making whatever Supreme Court ruling they want to make a state right issue thing. Even though we have a system of checks and balances, when you have that many big institutions leaning to one side, the checks and balances kind of goes out of the window. But also getting back to what I was on, basically, uh, she tried to run her campaign off this one issue, and while it was very important, it's not really that big of a deal. First off, for a lot of guys, you know, we can't get abortions. So half the population is like, who gives a shit about this? Second thing is that only about 20-ish% of guys are having regular sexual activity that could lead up to pregnancy, that could lead to an abortion. And another 20% of guys have very sporadic sexual activity. They might get it a couple times a month. They might get it one time a month. They might get it one time every couple of months. But basically, and then you look at 40% of guys are virgins. 60% of guys have been on a dry spell. Basically, roughly 80% of men are not having sex. And if you're not having sex, you can't get an abortion. Abortion is a B action, which means that an A action has to happen for a B action to happen. If A action doesn't happen, you don't even need to worry about B action. So for 80% of guys, and for a good chunk of females, because the females aren't putting out to the guys to have sex, to have the kid, or to get pregnant, to have the abortion, this isn't an issue that concerns a good chunk of Americans, at least a whopping like 75%. This is all estimates, but like abortion, it's a big issue, but it's not going to affect a lot of people in their day-to-day lives versus the whole border situation and inflation running out of control, which affects everybody. So that's like the main biggest thing is why her campaign flopped is that she ran on an issue that while it is important, did not concern the vast majority of voters. So that's why that failed and why her campaign failed. Granted, it was very close. It was very close in a lot of states. But at the end of the day, that's what happened. And to finish this off with a quote from the late great Tupac Shakur, I might be wrong with this, but in his song "Keep Your Head Up," he says, "Since a man can't create one, he has no right to tell a woman whether she could keep one or not." I know I'm misquoting that, even though it does take two to tango. Don't get me wrong; it takes two to tango to have a kid, but at the end of the day, it's her decision. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Well, that was it for this first episode, season 1. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.